Hello fruit lovers. I often get asked, how often shall I water my trees? Well, it depends whether they're in the ground or in a pot. That's the first thing. One's in the pot, big difference. In the ground, maybe you never have to water them again if you give them a nice environment, and they can send their roots down and Mother Nature will take care of them. In the pot, they're sitting there in this black pot. I mean, why? You know what? Somebody should make white pots for the summer, because those pots get roasting hot. Should you water your plants in the morning or evening? I don't think it really makes too much difference, because here in Florida it gets so wet during the night. You get a lot of dew come on the plants. That's the same as spraying them. So people say don't spray them in the evening because they'll get fungus overnight. But look how wet this is just from sitting here. You know, if it was in the tropics it'd be getting moist, wouldn't it? Water them in the morning if you can, and water them down lower. Some of the plants won't like being watered higher up. They'll get spots on their leaves, maybe some problems. But let's say just learn your plants and learn when it's best to water them. Adapt as necessary. Now, all these tips on watering, remember you can kill more plants with overwatering than underwatering. And so even stuff like these guavas, which like a lot of water when they're in the pot, if there was a big storm coming, say it was going to rain for days on end, you might want to cover these pots up with some plastic to stop any too much water. You want the plants to dry out, then get watered, not stay wet the whole time. Next thing, don't grow them in potting compost. That's just going to dry out really quick and also soak up water and get waterlogged. You can do one or the other. What you want is lovely sandy soil. It's going to let the water run through. Then is this ready for watering? I haven't watered this for a few days. Look at it, it's dry. I can stick my finger in there. I can feel a bit of moisture further down, but not a lot. That tree, we can give it some water. Other thing you can do is you can tip it. Feel the weight before you water it. That's tipping over fairly easy. Watch what happens when we water it. Like I said, these buckets are black, which obviously you can see. That is pretty hot. That heat is going to transfer in there to the roots. Now, these might be tropical trees, but they don't want their roots roasting. If they were in the ground, those roots are going to be nice and cool. In fact, I just put my fingers down here in the grass. It's cooler. If the plant was in the ground, it would be cooler. So they definitely need water, even if they're a tree like a mango that doesn't really want a lot of water. These coconut things are pretty good too. They're like in a circular shape cut out, and you can put them around your tree in the pot, and it keeps the moisture in more. So if you have a tree that you don't want to dry out as much, these can be very useful. Now we're going to water this, and we're going to water this, and we're going to water this. I'm not going to bore you with a complete watering, but we're going to keep going for a minute. Now we can see water running out the bottom, and when we tip it, it's a lot heavier. Still needs some more. It's not that heavy. We're going to soak this plant, dry it out. After it dried out, it's now getting a good soaking. Try and keep your pots as level as possible. This one I just noticed is leaning that way, so most of the water is going to go down that side, which means that the roots on this side are not going to get as much. The tree may have a lopsided root structure. So I'm going to just move this a bit, trying to get it more level so that the water soaks in more evenly. What are we going to water it with? We are not going to use city water, because that is full of chlorine, which is going to poison the trees. We are going to use well water if we can. If not, there are other ways around what you give to them. You could check out my other videos where I use water from the roof, catching rainwater. Or you can put a hose on your AC overflow where it drips out, and you can catch that, and that's lovely distilled water. And especially here in Florida, the AC runs like in the summer almost 24/7. you can get yourself a nice bit of water every day just from your AC unit.
If you have to use the water that comes out of your taps, your faucets from the city or the county, whatever you want to call it, get yourself a couple of these 5-gallon buckets, fill up the bucket halfway, let the bucket and the water stand there for in your garden for 3 days. The chlorine will evaporate. Then you can give it to your trees. If you have a few buckets, you can give one to the, give one to the plants, and the other one is already detoxing, and then etc. etc. But you're going to need quite a few. It depends how many trees you got. You're going to need quite a few buckets, because they're thirsty sitting here out in the sun. When the plants are fruiting, you've got to be careful too. This is a kumquat, but like things like this kumquat, pomegranates are a great example, but I don't have any fruiting right now. But if you give this too much water, the fruit can split. They'll expand too quick. Mangoes will even do that as well. They'll expand too quick from the rush of water, and you get a split fruit. You get a worse fruit than if you just left it alone. So this kumquat is fruiting. It's getting enough from what it's getting out of the soil. Looks fine. Maybe I'll give it a little bit of water, but not too much. I don't want to give it too much. I don't want the fruit splitting. Oh, and one last thing. I don't have a drip system. One, that would be pretty expensive, running hoses all over this property. Well, I do have hoses that I drag, and I hand water all these plants. The ones that I put in the ground, I don't worry about them. Those ones are doing great. But these pots, I'll water them every other day in the summer. But I'll look at them and see how they're doing. If they're doing fine, give them a little finger test. Feel the soil, see what they're looking like. And if they need water, they need it. If they don't, they don't. So I hope these tips have been helpful to you. And good luck with your trees. Bye.